This is a very sacred kiva, and it's a very sacred shrine for most all the native people that went over for directions from this Four Corners area a long, long time ago. And we are looking into the spirit of our people. These clouds are the spirit of our ancestors. They are here, they're watching us, and they hope that they will help the native people to protect their land, spiritual centers, sacred sites.
These bags are actually all one deposit of the crystals. This actually is 2 years after the Harmonic Convergence, but this is typical of the types of crystals that were left during the Harmonic Convergence. Crystals, of course, epitomize, I think, to most people, New Age and New Age offerings. Here in the Southwest, there are certain spots that are identified as sacred by the native communities here and also by a lot of the New Age religious groups. And those sites tend to be the sites where offerings are left. The Harmonic Convergence brought all of these people and put Chaco on the map. They believed that Casa Rinconada was a solstice marker, so solstice ceremonies became very popular. And so visitation, and specifically visitation Casa Rinconada, went way up. And because you can go into Casa Rinconada, that's direct impact on the fabric, the prehistoric masonry. Casa Rinconada has all of those niches and a couple of box vaults in the floor, and they were favorite places for people to leave offerings. And at the end of the day, Park Service personnel would go through and collect, document where it came from, and eventually it makes its way into the collection, and we catalog and store it for future generations. This is a good sampling of the types of material that we get left in Chaco. Artifacts that on a yearly basis we accession into the collection, catalog, and curate. And we have to use the same archival care and materials that we use for the prehistoric collections. They're treated no differently in that respect. Then we have more offbeat. This is a huge crystal. It's pink quartz, and it's quite lovely. It's also quite heavy. And that was just a single offering. This is actually, in some ways, more typical of the types of material that we have. Not big bags of crystals, but much smaller quantities, sometimes just single crystal, small collection of crystals. We deal with all of the Pueblos in New Mexico. There are 20. We deal with the Hopi tribe, the Navajo Nation, and occasionally the Ute and Apache, all of whom feel an affiliation with Chaco Canyon. And we've had a consultation committee with these tribes, these sovereign nations, for a number of years, and we meet regularly to discuss many issues. And over the years, the Pueblos have certainly raised the issue of the use at Casa Rinconada by what we call New Age religions. They've felt deeply about this issue and that it is disrespectful and it is sort of a violation of a sacred space. And they have asked the Park Service repeatedly over a number of years to close Casa Rinconada to the public. This is a combination of feathers tied with some leather, and this was a salt brush twig that was also tied in it. It's since crumbled a little bit. an offering that tends to resemble pahos, which can be different types of materials, but tend to be feathers or single pieces of vegetation that are left in active shrines today. And we do find them, they tend not to be in areas like Chaco. Most of the other active shrines today are located far from the sites of, high-density occupation. But this seems to be sort of a mimicking of that particular tradition in Native religion being incorporated into the New Age types of religious practices. I think it's a lack of understanding on the part of a lot of the New Age people exactly how much this offends the Native people, because I think from the New Age standpoint, I think they believe they are being very respectful and that they're incorporating what they think are the mainly Puebloan, some Navajo aspects of religion into theirs. And of course, the natives view it as simply co-opting something that the non-natives don't understand. To them, it's as though we would go into St. Paul's Cathedral and stage a vaudeville show, something that is to them utterly inappropriate for the setting. They're taking what the Pueblo people tend to use, corn pollen, turquoise, and sometimes crystals or special stones. They're using the same material, but they're using it in what I think of as a very Christian way, devotional offerings. At the opposite end of the non-traditional offerings, we have the teddy bear wax candle. It's one of my personal favorites, one of the favorites of the staff. But accompanying it was something that is an attempt at something more traditional. A little leather pouch sewn together with leather, and inside they put a little crystal, mimicking, of course, medicine bundles. So a much more traditional type of offering with the teddy bear. We also had problems with people leaving human remains, cremated human remains. And because most of our staff is Navajo, this is a huge problem for the Park Service. Most of our staff is traditional Navajo, which means that they avoid anything to do with the dead, where dead have been stored, in this case as human remains. And so we would have to go in, clean out the ashes, which are wind scattered, and it inevitably involves scraping some of the floor features and some damage with the equipment that we had to take in to remove the remains. And then we had to have ceremonies to cleanse the kiva. That was also a huge impetus, pushing the park to close Casa Rinconada. And finally, the Park Service decided, yes, not only is this behavior in some ways inappropriate for the space, it's having a huge negative impact on the resource, and we don't want to lose the resource. So the decision was made eventually this year to close Casa Rinconada. You can still view it from the perimeter and look down into it, but you cannot go down into the actual kiva.